At that time, we celebrated that Maraga has done it right. The world looked at us and said, wow, Kenya has a very serious democracy. And now this is the second test coming to our president. Now we might find it the way we are just talking as, I know Mheshimiwa is here, Parliament is now talking, now we've come out. But we need to ask ourselves, why would we always come to such scenarios and then rush and then start fighting each other and then start calling each other names? Why? 2010, when we finished this constitution, we started pushing for a formula, which we had a formula as women. And we told Parliament, this is the formula. Let's try and see if parties can be able to be able to ensure we have 1/3. 1/3 we are talking about right now is just 40 women, or 30, I think. It's not something big that we are looking at, because the formula was so that you don't bust everything. You don't look at the numbers, but you look at the constituencies, which are 290, and you formulate it from there. And therefore, if now is when now we have seen, now the rule of law has come, Kenya now wants to dump it, because it doesn't excite, and I'm sorry to say, it doesn't excite now the real key people who would love to sit on a decision-making organ in this country in the political sphere, which are our men colleagues. We have those who really support us, but we have those who are and they are the key with the political parties. And that is why we are here today. And for me, I just want to say, I leave it for the president, because it's him to now advise what he feels best. Yes, we have the BBI, which we also think can be a best route if we don't want to. But you see, we have to learn lessons and consequences. We must go through this pain. There's no way we can say, because it is Parliament, 400 men in this country will decide the law is for us and we are one. That is a very bad route. Because the next time Wananchi will decide the law is for them and they can do anything to do what they want in this country. And therefore, this is now the time I would want to see Parliament not giving us headlines how Maraga has done. No. We had 4 Duale bills. We started this process. Civil society went to court. They moved from the magistrate court to the high court, court of appeal, until they got to the Supreme Court. Really, we just ignored and we waited, and now is when no political person was looking for CJ and say, look, we know this thing has moved a process, we are here with it. We come when he has given now the decision, we start blaming him. People took the complaints to him. The Constitution says every Kenyan has a right to go to court and get his right. And it's under the Bill of Rights, and that's what they did. But the political class ignored and felt the CJ right now, we are not looking, we are fighting here and there, some funny fights. Now he has come, we want to just rubbish off. And every Kenyan will rush to court and say, what you are doing right now is unconstitutional. How will IEBC operate? They will ask. If there's any by-election, they will question. So let us not lie to ourselves that it is a good thing. It is something we need to be telling the president now. With sobriety, look at the country and look at the best options. Best options. And these options have to end. If it is indeed Parliament can bring in the bill and say by now and by December, before they go for their long recess, they are able to bring in a 2/3 bill, they can do it. So it is something we can come out with, but not the way we are talking. And I want to tell the president, if this is the way we shall see headlines, people abusing each other, especially abusing women. So it seems women, we are just a second class in this country. Because when I read what Moses Kuria is saying, very interesting. When I read what Junet is saying, very interesting. That even if we go to an election now, Kenyans still will elect more men than women. Really, in this country. If this is not the way we should be talking now. We should be saying, there is a crisis. And I know in the next 10 years, men are the ones who will come for this affirmative action. I want to promise them when I'm here. Men, you will come for affirmative action and you'll be screaming for it. And it will take you long to get this affirmative action.
Let me get a man who might be facing that particular issue in terms of affirmative action.
And it won't take long.
Honorable Oda, let me bring you in, because as you've heard right there, we need a sober approach to this. But what we saw yesterday on the floor of the House, it was female legislators being told that when this was on the floor of the House, you were in New York, you were busy going to get your allowances, you never cared about this. And that's really what it degenerated to on the floor of the House. That's what happened yesterday.
Jeff, first of all, I want to say, actually, I was in Parliament that day. To be very honest, what was being said actually happened that day. I was actually on the floor of that House. It will be interesting to wait for what Elachi is actually envisioning.
And she's
From
given a
our
time
girls?
10 years.
From our daughters?
Yeah.
Their boys will suffer. I want to tell him for free
of
now.
Of course, that boy
for
child
free
will be
now.
under siege.
Yes, and it's already under siege
Now,
anyway.
Going back to what Maraga's advisory. You see, I was telling you something. Even if you go before a court of law today, or rather in Western country, court of justice, they refer to it. And maybe you've been taken there for murder, having murdered somebody because you found them with your wife somewhere. You see, the truth is it is murder. But again, under what circumstances did this thing take place? So some of the rulings will be based on that. Now today, Maraga wakes up and with a few days to go before he vacates office, tries to make a landmark ruling, or rather a landmark advice to the president. Well, he has always been there. And today, Jeff, if you look at the Constitution clearly, as much as you're putting the president under siege, you see, express power to dissolve Parliament actually ended with the former Constitution, if you look at it clearly. He has powers, but it doesn't expressly grant the powers to do so. And number two, Jeff, even if today you were to do what Maraga is telling the president to do, ask yourself, under what circumstances will you be doing this? And is it right for this country to do that right now? Can't you find any other way of doing it? Because even today, if you want to implement, Elachi puts it so easily, that it's so easy to do. But my friend, I've been in that parliament for 3 years. We've grappled with this thing until you don't know which direction you're taking
with the particular bill?
With the issue of this two-third gender rule.
What's made it so hard? Because if there's a record bill that has failed in the House, it's been this one. Over and over again, it comes to the floor, fails every single time.
Of course,
it
even the bill in the Senate also has a record time of failing each week. So definitely, Jeff, if you have to come up with the women formula, you ask Wanjiko on the ground, most people, and you people are interviewing people, and you could hear the outcry. Or these people are talking of representation. They're even talking of this constitution scrapping off the issues of nomination. Here we are. Are we going to nominate these ladies to parliament? I don't want to talk of women because it will be so disrespectful. And number two, are we going to elect them? And if you're going to elect them, how are you going to set up the constituencies for them? Jeff, there are so many questions in this. And so there's no hurry. You see, even this issue of enacting it by 2015, I don't know, by August or what, this thing was just set up by the Supreme Court. I mean, it is not clearly in the Constitution which date. And again, with this kind of Constitution enactment, my friend Jeff, we need to we need to read the Constitution wholesomely. If today you dissolve Parliament, ask yourself, are you going to pay me for the remainder of my term? Because I have a contract for 5 years. Are you going to pay me? And if you are not going to pay me, how are you going to define my 5-year term? If the president has the powers, but the Constitution does not expressly grant him the powers like the former Constitution. I mean, there are so many constitutional crises in this, Jeff. Mm-hmm. And if today you call another by-election, or rather, this is more of a general election. I mean, over 300 legislatures going back for elections, my dear, this is crisis. Where will you get the funds? The same parliament needs to actually give you a budget for it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are so many questions. And Maraga is smart enough to know that. Maraga knows that this country is actually straining with the current COVID-19 situation we have in this country. And the economy is actually collapsing. Are we ready to part with over billions of money during elections for members of parliament? I mean, this is what I'm talking about. The rules of, there are so many things that forms the basis of actually making such a decision or even advising the president. So you don't just wake up and do this. Okay, fine, because Maraga nullified election of one Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta in 2017 does not give him the right again just to wake up and just make some decision like the one he made. I will not just praise him for that. Because just because ulinipikia chai ya maziwa jana does not mean today ukinipikia uji ni kusifu. I mean,
Madam Elachi, I think also there's a key perception issue, because even when you hear Honorable Oda speaking about this bill, it's being referred to as a women's bill.
Of course it is.
Is it
That's
also
the most unfortunate thing in Kenya.
But is the problem also that probably the women aren't showing that this is not only our bill, the shoe could be on the other foot very soon? Do they also have part to blame?
I think women we have given all reasons of why it's not an issue of women. It's an issue of Kenya, first of all, appreciating that it is done all over the world, that this is an agreement or a declaration that was signed by a country with other countries. And as they even go right now, UNGA is going on, the 75th UN General Assembly. I mean, they are talking about 50-50. Our whole of East Africa has done this. Tanzania has 1/3, Rwanda beyond, Uganda beyond, even Burundi, even South Sudan, that Kenya, even Ethiopia, Kenya here, we are just thinking about how the women, you know, I know men fear women in Kenya. One thing, because when we get something, we do it right. Let's be honest on that. And it is a challenge that we will face always with our men colleagues, that when a woman is really working in her constituency, you compare the two, you'll always see the difference. And that's one challenge that I always know will come in Parliament, because they feel threatened that if you give women these constituencies, and they work, then we will be out of business for a while. You hear my Mohesh, him is now looking at the salary. You see, my salary will do this. In COVID, we don't look at salaries. We know some of our Kenyans have gone home. So what if we dissolve Parliament? Kenyans have been removed from jobs. They are home. And that's one thing I want us, that's why I was saying, let us not look at it at that political level. Let us look at it soberly and ask ourselves, fine, we can't dissolve Parliament. But then how? But now if Parliament is telling us, whether you don't dissolve us or you dissolve us, after all, we won't get it. No, that impunity is where I'm saying, my colleagues, male colleagues, let us not go to that impunity. Because the Mwananchi who votes for you will use that one day, and you will feel the pain. The consequences that we talk about, will feel it. And so for me, I don't want us to go into a battle. I want us to sit down, all of us, both men and women, ask ourselves, how do we ensure going forward there will be 1/3? And even if it means we use the BBI route, and by the way, women were saying, let women go and compete. The Bomas draft was very clear. We had agreed on the district seats. If this country would have agreed to just pick that, or even you go and look at the county assemblies and pick Article 170 and bring it on this side, it will work properly for all members, because it clears the issue of 1/3. So we can't be saying 1/3 in Parliament is an issue of 30, yet here we have nominated nearly 900 and we are not talking about, and we are not even thinking how to deal with it, because number one, you find that still it will be fought. Women are there. They have been nominated in county assemblies, but there are some county assemblies that will say a woman cannot bring a motion, a woman cannot be a chairman. Then you need to ask yourself, and that's what Parliament and Senate should be doing, to know we cannot just be paying people for the sake of doing, I don't know, top-ups and what. You must do it for the sake of the country, and what we are going to gain as a country is very critical. And therefore, for me, Jeff, I don't want us to go, that battle Mheshimiwa is going in, no. That battle Moses Kuria tried to put on the table, in fact, I just want to tell my brother, honestly, you are the one person who should be supporting. You came in through the hand of His Excellency the President, an affirmative action at the first election, where a woman was going to win that election. But the woman was told to step aside and leave the seat. And then you come and you start feuding and just writing very unjustified words to women is wrong. And that's all I'm telling. And there are many others. By the way, it's not that we lose. No. If today we open our boxes, you'll be very surprised. So hands cannot be changed.
Let me agree, and again disagree with Elachi.
It's okay.
Number one,
he has every right.
she was a very brilliant and smart. She was doing a very good job at the County Assembly of Nairobi. But you realize that the people who fought Elachi most are the same women.
Exactly. I'm not fighting that.
And you see, women are their own enemies.
No.
You see,
we are not enemies.
No. Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
We are used by men to become enemies.
No, we are not. Of course, we can't use them. Like Elachi is a full graduate and accomplished, whatever. Now, let me tell you, Jeff. I don't disagree that this thing should be enacted. I'm only arguing the case and the times and the circumstances that made Maraga come up with this. Honestly, this is not the right time. I am not even crying for my salary, because definitely, Jeff, I'll just go back and start continuing my side hustles. I'll still eat, and even just put some clothes on my body.
So your issue with it is the timing of
the timing, Jeff. It is the timing. Why now? Why now? And especially when he's leaving. Does he want us to leave? He want to leave us behind the constitutional crisis in this country? He want to live a dysfunctioning country? It is true, people went home. I feel very sorry because of COVID-19. Okay. But my friend, Parliament is an arm of government in this country. We need it. Actually, we need it to pass laws. We need to pass budget, to pass what? If it is not there, Jeff, in totality. Honestly, what are we talking about? So Maraga could have considered so many things. And then they are now agree with Elachi when she says that maybe we can sit down and find a way of actually harmonizing this thing as parliamentarians and as a country. Okay. The other route is, I then now agree with William Ruto in 2010 when he said that part of this constitution, he opposed this constitution because to him there are sections in this that were not right. We also say the same thing. Now it is the time that we need to join hands. And I will actually ask the Tanga team, most of them were now saying, oh, this all parliament, I don't know what. I am telling them, and especially even you ladies, I don't want to call you women, ladies, we come together, support the BBI. And BBI might just be the solution and the route we can take for this thing. Because in the Constitution, there are so many areas, not even this one. You're only talking of one. We have so many other sections, so many laws that you cannot now actually make them come to pass because of the way we hurriedly did the 2010 Constitution. But we agreed that we are going to change it. So I'm asking the general public, the country, that this is the time. We don't need this dissolution now. Not because I don't want to go back to the public or rather to my constituents to ask for votes. No. Just because we need stability in this country right now.
Okay, we have a minute to go on this one. Of course, when you come back after the break, we'll be talking about what he said, because even as we talk about the BBI and what it seems like, some people have called the BBI a Trojan horse for politicians to find their way to go and campaign about. So really, is there a good time to campaign? When should politicians really go back? And that really is a subject of what we'll be discussing after the break. Let's have that question up on screen. Already some WhatsApp messages coming in. Is there a right time for politicians to begin their campaigns? We've seen them going around talking about the BBI, but very many Kenyans are saying it's politicians out doing their thing and campaigning as usual. Is there a right time for politicians to begin their campaigns? Let's see the WhatsApp messages we have. True, let the president dissolve that parliament. Nothing they do there. In fact, most of them are just there. Okay. Do you have another message? That's what you have as of now, this particular point in time. Let's have it up. The first thing that MPs asks is, who is going to pay me for the remainder of the term if the parliament is dissolved? Talk of self-interest coming first from our MPs. Silas from Kahawa West. Do you have another message? Okay, there we go. Surely Kenya is a campaigning nation. Sorry to speak as far as politics is concerned. After the historic handshake, politicians started the game right away. Talk of BBI among their things. COVID-19 was just a half-time for politicians to rest and come again more stronger. That is what we are witnessing. It is not a good time for campaigns, but who are we to question them? Mr. Lumbasi from Kitale. I hear you on that. Of course, another one. I really don't understand what is happening in our country. The Kenya Constitution has a lot of loopholes which can be contested and argued before the court. Therefore, amendment of the Constitution is inevitable. Okay, let's have one more message right there. I believe the best time for campaigning is 6 months to the general election. This will give ample time to leaders to fulfill their pledges. Politics is a huge distraction to service delivery. That's why His Excellency Kenyatta has from time to time requested politicians to first focus on work. There we have it, of course, after the break. That's where we take this discussion. Really, premature political campaigns, it seems, is the right time to start campaigning for politicians? We want your feedback on that. And don't forget, you can get yourself a copy of your People Daily. It's only 10 shillings, the number that you dial. *550*4#. We take a short break. We're back with that discussion right here on K24 This Morning.